deserve them.
Whatever the static is, I think it's coming from outside. When Rob Hopper is talking, or Rob McDonald, or, you know, so I'm not sure where it's coming from, but it's not coming when you're talking.
Okay, so we might need everybody to mute until you're ready to speak. That might be best. Okay, we got a thumbs up from our engineer, and so I'll go ahead and open this regularly scheduled meeting of the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency, and ask that our secretary call the roll.
Hopper?
Here.
Porter? Porter?
Here. Here.
Warwick?
Here.
Wagner?
Here.
Allgood?
Here.
Ramirez?
Here. Okay, we have a full commission this evening to hear the business of the agency. And as always, I would ask if any commission members have a conflict of interest on any item that is before us on the agenda. Hearing and seeing none, that will take us then to any special presentations. I don't believe we have special presentations, but we do have folks that are going to speak to items on the calendar. Is there anyone who wants to speak to an item that is not on the agenda? Sounds like we do not have any of those, so that takes us to the consent calendar. I'm going to entertain a motion for the disposition of the consent calendar.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Allgood.
move that we accept the consent calendar as printed.
It's been moved for acceptance of the consent calendar. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by
Ramirez.
Mr. Ramirez. Yes, okay. There's some disembodied voice. No, we got that. Is there any discussion? Would the secretary call the roll, please?
Allgood?
Yes.
Ramirez?
Yes.
Hopper?
Yes.
Porter?
Yes.
Warwick?
Yes.
Wagner?
Yes.
Okay, the consent calendar has been approved. That takes us to old business, and this is a discussion of our extending potentially the construction deadlines in the McCain Foods Purchase and Sale Agreement. So I think, Mr. Waterman, you are doing a presentation.
Thank you. I'll mostly be doing an introduction,
Okay.
Chair and Commission. So, of course, tonight is a discussion item on a potential to extend construction deadlines for McCain. We've been provided now with a draft document which our office is reviewing, and in the event this gets moved forward with, we'll get that reviewed, and any proposed amendments back and forth, we can get that ready for the meeting at which that actual extension would be considered. Tonight we have representatives from McCain here who wanted to come and provide some additional context information. And to kick it off is Ms. Nancy Haggerty, and she's there on Zoom. You should be able to see her. She's going to lead off, and my understanding is she has a couple other individuals she may introduce as well to provide additional input. So with that, I'll turn it over to her unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Waterman. Any questions, Mr. Waterman, before we go to Ms. Haggerty? Seeing none, Ms. Haggerty, you've got the floor.
I'm not as experienced on Zoom as you guys are, and I can see a 208 number and a 122 number calling in. So Dale, are you with us? Michael, Brian? Does the city have to let them in? They're both. Oh, Dale, you're there?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, he was muted.
Oh, okay, good. Then both of them are here. As you know, we closed this, what seems like a lifetime ago, but it was only 2019. And there is a deadline date coming up under the offer to purchase, not under the development agreement, but under the offer to purchase, where McCain had to start construction on the plant in order to meet that deadline, or else there were penalties in the contract, including losing the land. Obviously, this has not been a normal year, and it's certainly not been a normal year for any company that has a plant with a lot of employees in it, or has a company that sells products to restaurants, many of whom have gone bankrupt and gone out of business. So, the people at McCain have had a few conversations with, your city attorney and also with people about the possibility of extending the deadline a little. There is a force majeure clause that was built right into the contract, and all of us know that force majeure is, clearly upon us. But, before we bring this to you for official consideration, what we wanted to do was have the important people from McCain who are involved with building and construction and planning to come and just give you a little bit of an insight into what they've been doing, what they plan on doing, on this location, and to see if then in the January cycle, we could come back and ask for an extension of a year to get all the plans and specs put together and get started with construction. There's also, we have to move an irrigation line on the north side of the lot as well. So, Dale, do you want to take it from there?
Sure. Thank you, Nancy, and good evening, everyone. Apologize, I struggled getting in, but that's my technical capability. So yes, backing up to when we negotiated in good faith a couple of years ago. Obviously, we had a robust appetizer business. It's still doing well. In the meantime, we've realigned. Jeff DeLapp, who many of you know, is now advising us, and we brought in a gentleman who's running South America to manage North America as well as the president. And as I inch towards retirement in the next couple of years, we've realigned in two categories. Taylor's appetizer. Mike's on the line here with us. He's 12, 13-year guy with McCain and spent time in Australia and recently in South Africa. He came over to be the president of the appetizer business. So that's where we're going organizationally. We're obviously planning our future here, planning to grow this business. We believe we've got tons of capacity to upscale. We do not have any assets outside of Burley and Nampa in the Idaho area, and as you know, Nampa is an older, smaller plant. Our mission there is to build a high-speed plant that is modular. So that COVID has hit us here, obviously, and we're feeling the impact of that, and not being able to move people around, just trying to get engineers into plant sites. Super difficult these days. So our ask is that we get a little bit more time to continue to work this plan, and we're happy to come back and check in every quarter, every 6 months, whatever you deem reasonable, that we would like to extend.
Okay.
Mike, would you like to add any more to that if you're in? It looks like you're in.
Yeah, sure. I think you captured it well, but obviously I just say with, two main disruptions, obviously the change in leadership always kind of changes things and causes us to reevaluate. And then the second piece is COVID, obviously with the ton of restaurant closures around the country. We've had to put a lot of activities on hold. But the good news is we do see our kind of way out of this. And what I'm looking at doing over the next 6 months to a year is really push the agenda on this particular facility, because I think it makes a lot of sense for a number of reasons. And basically, what we need is time. We just need some time now with the new leadership, with our ability to kind of have our business coming out of COVID, to give us the headspace to be able to focus on this once and for all, and kind of make a final pitch on this opportunity. So it's something that I don't want to lose at this stage, because I still think it's a big opportunity for McCain. So if you guys can give us a year, I can definitively give you an answer either way. And I think it's a promising opportunity for McCain and for the Anthony area.
And if I can just speak a little bit more to the contract. The contract is set up in such a way that it isn't just having engineering studies ready or getting permits ready, but we actually have to start construction within that time period. So if you look at the deadline date for getting construction started, and you back that up to getting permitting, getting a development agreement resolved with you for site, final site plan, all the engineering has to happen, we have to relocate the drain. It's gonna take a good amount of lead time, and I think everyone knows, based on the latest news, we kind of expect that people won't be fully vaccinated, people won't be back in their offices for at least a couple of months, and then we need that time period to do the preparations with engineers and, architects and buying equipment to go into the site. So that's why we're asking for, a year extension.
Okay, Mr. Waterman, any more context for us before we turn it to you to figure out how this could happen, or if it could happen?
The last thing I provide is, obviously for the sake of conversation and for what's been going on, the delays are being discussed, whether or not the delays rise to the level of a force majeure for the purposes of the contract. Our office hasn't specifically analyzed that, and obviously wouldn't do it on the spot now, but that doesn't necessarily change the discussion, and whether or not there's a force majeure from a contractual conflict point of view, obviously it's not relevant if an extension is sorted out, at least not in the short term. So just wanted to clarify that our office hasn't weighed in on whether or not circumstances actually are a force majeure. That was it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Alden.
So this contract has been in place for 2 years, is that correct?
That's my understanding, or it's been since 2019. I'm not certain on the exact start date of the contract.
And this question
Well,
would be, go ahead.
we closed on the purchase on September 30th of 2019.
Okay, and so between September 30th and now, has there been any action taken to prepare the land for your needs? I mean, has there been anything happen at all in the past year and a half? Or year, a little over here?
Dale, I don't know if you've been as involved as Don Moose has been with all the work with the engineers about planning the site.
Everything is on paper, Nancy, very little on the site. I believe the city put in a transformer. There has been some work, from the city, but on our part, it's all on paper and design and, sourcing of machining. None of it's been bought other than one line that we have in storage.
No, but I think they wanted to know that you had been doing some planning and moving forward towards it.
Sorry, Nancy, one moment. Can you hear me?
Yes, we've had our 15-minute.
Nancy, can you hear me? So we're having to reset the audio, so we can't hear you at the moment, but in just a couple minutes, we'll be able to hear you again. Just give us a couple seconds. So we lost you in the middle of your last sentence, and you're still muted, but you'll be back online. We can see you
Welcome
again.
to
Probably can't hear
Zoom.
us either.
Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID followed by, you are in the meeting now. You are unmuted.
My apologies, I should have said this at the beginning of the meeting. We've got a new audio system, that we're about to throw away, no. It times out every 15 minutes on the dot, and we have to reconnect. So my apologies, Nancy. I don't think we heard any of your response once you asked Dale, his knowledge of the engineering plans. So, if you could pick it up from that point. Oh, we still don't hear Nancy.
Take a second.
Council Chambers, which would be the chairman, the clerk, those that are there, Steve Foltz, anybody that's inside the building cannot hear us, but it takes just about a minute or two to reboot it, and they should be up and good in just a second. So I do apologize, I'm frantically trying to get this fixed. So give them just a couple more minutes, they should be back up.
Yeah, we're back now, Mr. Mayor, thank you probably for saying what I should have said at the top of the meeting, so my apologies for not warning you.
No, we had a nice conversation about, the wonders of technology, when it works and when it doesn't.
Yeah, well, we certainly have some growing pains with what was just done in this room, so my apologies, we'll, continue to work on that. And at exactly 7:29, we will lose you again, so, there's
Okay,
that to look forward to.
So maybe, if Steve Foltz is in the, council chambers, he probably knows more than other people about how much engineering work and site plans and layout and work, engineering drawings already were done, before the property was purchased. As a matter of fact, we did go through a short development agreement when the land was purchased, because we had to deal with making sure that there'd be the second entrance that the trucks would go into, because without that second entrance, you couldn't make enough work, enough room. So it isn't as if McCain hasn't spent time or money or effort in investing in figuring out how to lay out the site. And then they also bought the 2 lots south of there that were needed for some additional parking and an entrance. Steve probably knows more than other people about that particular issue.
Go ahead, Mr. Foltz.
Mr. Chairman and, board members, thank you again for the opportunity to come and speak. As you know, I've been working with, this, as we've identified as Project White, for quite some time. Initially, they were looking at a location, within Skyridge Business Park area that was off of Challenger Way. We were unable to get that site, secured, and, really kind of the last minute, we had worked out an opportunity with freehold development on the 20 acres that Project White now is in ownership of. We worked very closely with one of the engineers, David Bird, for McCain, as we were going through this process. We actually have received and have viewed some initial drawings and plans showing the layout of the facility. As Nancy had mentioned, we were looking at some access points, both off of Smead Parkway and then also on to Skyway. We actually worked very closely with the Skyway Association as part of this effort in allowing us to have access, an access point off of Smead, or onto Smead Parkway. So, from our perspective and what I've observed over the months, that there seems to have been some work on design, on getting the site prepped, as Dale has been so very good to work with. Obviously, as they're getting ready to move forward, keeping the site cleared. I've actually had to make a couple of calls, and they're like, oh, sorry about that, and then they have moved very quickly to keep the site maintained and mowed. So I do know that at least some time ago, we were working with their engineers to assure that they were moving forward with the process. So again, I think the delay, of course, has had to come through the COVID and the impact of the market based on that. But certainly from my end, I have seen efforts on the part of McCain to move forward. It has been slow, as you would imagine, but I have seen some forward progress in it.
Thank you, Mr. Foltz. Any questions for Mr. Foltz? Okay. Well, thank you, Nancy, and all of you from McCain for giving us that update. I just do want to impress upon you that we do have manufacturers circling us, looking for sites, and so we're anxious to make sure this happens and proceeds in a timely manner. So thank you very much for your comments. Mr. Waterman, anything to close with?
Mr. Chairman, this is Greg.
Yeah, Mr. Nancolis.
If I may, and this is again this is a reaffirmation that there's no question that we realize the wonderful company McCain is. But I just wanted to explain for Nancy and those from McCain that some of the unforeseen timeframes that we are running up against as well on this side, and just so you understand the full picture of it. We certainly want McCain in our community. I hope there's no question about that in your minds. Unfortunately, because of your COVID, which has put you into a tailspin. What it then does to us is it backs us up against the sunsetting of the revenue allocation area that is, has been promised to the citizens and, taxpayers for many, many years. And so what that does to us, Nancy and Dale, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who else was online, is.
Michael Bryan.
Thank you. What that does to us is that, we are forced to begin that process in no later than February of 2022. And what that then also means is that probably greatly diminishes, or maybe in fact even removes the ability for the urban renewal agency to, in a timely, we wouldn't have time to repurchase the property, work with the developer, and get it resold again before that February timeframe. That's why we're in this quandary. And I hope you know, we love McCain, we wish you were there. We just want you to know that the consideration that we are faced with is that it eliminates, if it goes too much longer, then it may in fact impact our ability to properly be able to sunset the revenue allocation area, know what to do with the money. Obviously, we don't have a firm project, we cannot hold revenues for money back. It has to be divested to the entities that are a part of the revenue allocation area, the county, the city, school districts, et cetera. So that is one of the things that we're wrestling with on our side, is how to do that if it goes too much longer. Once we have a firm project and there's, the building is coming out of the ground and so forth, then that doesn't matter if the revenue allocation area expires or not, because it's considered an ongoing project. So what we're faced with is, what is the time frame for the revenue allocation area to still work with McCain and still hope that you can get things going, but at what point in time do we run into a wall that says, from a sunset of the revenue allocation area, that we can follow the law, meet the rules, with the county, with the state? Because if we don't meet that rule, it's a huge impact to those taxing entities, that, are involved in the revenue allocation area, and actually could cost them several $1 million by not sunsetting the property. So that's the thing. I just want you to know that we're not trying to be arbitrary at all in trying to be, have some urgency with it. Has nothing to do with that. It's just this weird timing, of COVID versus, being able to get a project going versus sunsetting of revenue allocation area, having the proper documentation into the county, the tax, tax commission and so forth, and how do we manage all that in between? So I just wanted you to be aware of some of those things, and of course, that's a 30,000-foot view, and I apologize for doing that, but I just want you to know, we're not trying to be arbitrary in the urgency that we're, trying to present here. It truly is something that's unforeseen of us as well, that because we're backed up to this, COVID nightmare, that it affects us on several fronts there. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them, or, again, Nancy or others, we can answer those questions offline if you want to, but that's something that the commissioner will also, and the city will also have to take a look at as we have considered an extension. Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, then, Mr. Orman, sounds like you're working with them to try to figure out what the agreement might look like, and you've got some work to do. Sorry, we ruined your Christmas week, maybe, I don't know.
All right, Chairperson. It might be, advisable for the board to, let us in the mayor's contact or comments, inquire about, alternative timelines instead of a year extension from March. And see what the perceived feasibility of something slightly more truncated might look like.
I think one of the things to consider, I don't necessarily, want to guide you to a date certain, but we do have to figure out what it would take to, not, to dispose of the property properly before the sunset of the area. So I think that's the one thing we have to sort of work backwards on. I don't know that we've done a timeline on what that might look like, but I think that's the urgency behind this. So, I think based on the mayor's comments, a full year extension probably isn't feasible to meet the March 2022 drop. So we have to figure out what is the right date. And I wish I could tell you magically what that is. I don't know what it is, based on the legal stuff that would have to happen, if you will.
Right. Very good.
Okay, but we'll work with you on that, and, you know, that'll be back and forth, and, we'll have to have staff help determine what that looks like.
Right.
Okay?
Okay, we'll work with you on that, and then, hopefully come to language that works for you, and then bring it in front of you on your January meeting.
That'd be perfect. Thank
All
you.
right, good. Thank you for hearing us.
Thank you for coming.
I think we're just about to be cut off again, otherwise I'd sign off.
Thanks, everyone.
No worries.
Okay, but,
That takes
And I assure you that we'll work with you from the mayor's office as well, any assistance we can give the staff as far as this timeframe. So, just wanted to know.
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
that takes us then to old business number 2, which is our development activity report from Mr. Bowles.
Mr. Chairman, thanks again. Appreciate your time and efforts in working with our friends on Project White. And as you know, it's been a long journey, and I feel like we're getting close. So thank you again for your time and effort and patience with us through this process. On my current projects for November, a brief description of them. We continue to work with North Ranch and Ball Venture Outquest on marketing and working with them in finalizing their plans and putting together in efforts with them on their final plat. And there's a number of projects that we have put together and submitted for their consideration. Those are listed in my report. Excuse my math, because in the statement ahead, I said that we're working with 4 potential industrial warehousing distribution projects. It's actually 5, as you see listed here. Project Aztec, which is a project that came to us from the Southwest Idaho Manufacturers Alliance for a business out of state. Project Scope is a distribution user working with the BVA on the potential there. That would be the acquisition of about 30 acres of their 90-plus acre industrial zone property. Project Tech, another Southwest Idaho Manufacturers Alliance user, has been submitted information about the Ball Venture Outquest site. Project Dios, which was a lead that came from Idaho Commerce as an industrial lead, has been on the docket for a while. Project Pellet is one that Mr. Jenkins has been working on, and I suspect he may share a little bit more in his report about that. That is one location that we've been proposing to them, as well as some others. So I'll leave that for Mr. Jenkins to report as part of his report. Wolf Development, they're the ones, again, that purchased the Van Acker site. We continue to work with them. They do have the completion of the 87,000 square foot building, and they are moving forward to the construction of their next building, which would be about 265,000 square feet. Project Trade is one we've been working with them on that second building. Project Trade is considering 200,000 of that 265,000 square feet. In a meeting with them for a site visit, they did say that about 400 plus jobs is what they're looking at. We continue to work with Skyway Industrial Condos. Actually, I've got a lead that will be going to them probably later this week for one of the condos. And I do see Mr. McDonald moving toward the reset. So
we're going to blow up anytime real soon here.
Okay, maybe I can quickly run through the rest of them here. Continue working with our Ag Innovation Center with meetings with the University of Idaho, College of Idaho, and USDA. Cold Steel Constructors, who we've worked with for a while, they're looking at expanding. They're needing an additional 6 acres, so we're working with them to find a location that's suitable for them on that. Johnson Thermal System, on their expansion, they're looking at hiring an additional 50 plus employees. So the big challenge there that we're working with through our economic development team right now is finding adequate parking for their growth at that current location. Project White, which we just had discussion with, we continue to have conversations with Dale McCarthy and Nancy Haggerty and a host of others, as we're trying to come to a resolution on how to, and when to expand and to what, duration to expand to. Working with a group out of Oregon on the development of a recreation center, looking at several locations right now. Continue to have conversations with, Thomas Jefferson Charter School on a potential site that they own there, as well as freehold development in the Sky Ranch Business Park. We've also talked to BVA, or talked to them about the BVA site for that as well. Continue with Side A, and I don't think they're on, are they on? I did mention to them, that we would be, potentially talking and looking for an update from them. It doesn't appear that they are on, but, they may be jumping on later. I did have, communication with them today. They were hoping to be online today with us. And they continue to work with Treasure Valley Community College on the, A&P program. So the A&P program, as you know, we did purchase the hangar and, continue to work with them on the building the site. And, I think they have, if they have not, again, submitted the application for assistance through Workforce Development Council. We anticipate that happening anytime. So with that, stand for any questions you might have regarding our progress, for this past month.
Okay, we'll wait for a reset and.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by #. Enter your participant ID. You are in the meeting now. You are unmuted.
Okay, there is someone in the waiting room, Mr. Oh, no, it's not. We're the ones in the waiting room. Yeah, there you go. We're waiting for ourselves. Okay, sounds like we're all back again. Are there any questions for Mr. Faltz, on his report? Seeing and hearing none, we'll let you go, sir. Thank you very much. That takes us to the economic development report from Mr. Jenkins, the other twins team.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. I'd like to take some time to introduce some of the projects I've been working on since November. So I'll start off with Project Love. They're a restaurant group, and they visited the area in November, and they're still identifying potential sites. They're interested in locations near the College of Idaho, Sky Ranch, and downtown. Just as a reminder, this is a fast casual restaurant that focuses on sweet and savory food options, and they have a presence in Meridian. They're looking to expand in Canyon County, and Caldwell, downtown Caldwell is of high interest to them. So really excited to essentially welcome them to our downtown core. And then Project Chargers, this is an entertainment venue. They've been looking at downtown locations for a period of time. They have actually identified a site, and they started the process of negotiating the terms. And they were actually looking at the Eagles building downtown, and this is an entertainment venue that would be a great addition to all the activities that we have going on in downtown Caldwell. So very excited about welcoming them to town. Project Cheerful, this is a fast casual restaurant group, and they're interested in the movie theater location. They're hoping to open their operation in Q1 of 2021. And then just to continue on with NeighborWorks, we've been working with them for quite some time. They actually identified a site in the Sky Ranch area, and they're working on developing that site currently. So we're thrilled to welcome this affordable housing project to our area, much needed in these times of high housing costs. And NeighborWorks is going to provide some workforce housing in an area that has a tremendous amount of employees. Project Pellet is what Steve Foltz referred to in his report. It's kind of a follow-up to what he had mentioned. They're looking at 5 sites in the Sky Ranch area. North Ranch is indeed one of the sites that they're considering. One of the good things about Project Pellet, they're looking for 15 to 20 acres. They want to do a retail facility, about 80 to 100,000 square feet, and then they want to do a warehousing facility on the backside of their operation. So kind of a twofold development project there. Then the good thing about this group is that they're only considering Caldwell for the next location. So it's just a matter of time before they land in the location, but they're considering 5 different options, most of which are in Sky Ranch, and then of course the one in North Ranch. Project Gator, they're a fast casual restaurant group, they're still considering a site in downtown Caldwell. We're optimistic that they'll finalize the decision sometime in January. I actually have a meeting with this group tomorrow afternoon, so we'll be following up with them, and hopefully they'll have a decision already made, and we'll be welcoming another great restaurant to downtown Caldwell. Just an update with Extreme Pizza, they're officially open for business. The franchisee said the response has been extraordinary, and they have been extremely busy. They actually ran out of dough on the second day of business, which was really good to hear from our perspective. Project Blue, they're a light manufacturing company, and they're seeking 10 to 15 acres to develop a facility. They will employ 9 people in Caldwell, and they've identified a 14.3-acre site. They're currently doing a feasibility study on the site, and just in recent conversations with this group, they are hoping to get some numbers together and get us an answer here soon, probably in Q1 of next year. And then lastly, Maddie's Plaza is under contract with the new owner. The building should close in January, and the new owner has plans to remodel and upgrade the space. This owner is very excited and thrilled to come into downtown Caldwell and just make an impact in the area. Very, very excited about the potential for that site and for that facility, and just have some really good plans. I'm working closely with this owner to make sure we have the retail groups and the commercial uses that are most appropriate for downtown Caldwell. And with that, that concludes my report for November, unless there are any questions for me.
Any questions for Mr. Jenkins? Sounds like we're letting you off easy tonight, so there you go. All right, that takes us to...
Thank you.
You bet, thank you very much. That takes us then to new business. Our action item number 1 is to consider a resolution authorizing the execution of the RE15 compensation agreement with Mark Bottles Real Estate Services LLC, which is Norm Brown, the agent, for the property located at 516 Main Street. Mr. Waterman.
Evening again, Chairman's description did a good job. This is compensation for negotiation for that machine area. Typically, when there's one agent the commission set at 6%. This is set at 4.5, and Mr. Brown is happy with that number and has done a wonderful job. Mark has worked more on that than I have, but he expressed a great deal of appreciation for the work Mr. Brown did. So, commission agreement is before you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Waterman. Mr. Brown, would you like to speak to us before we take this up?
Chairman and Mayor and Urban Renewal, would like to thank you for letting me represent you. It went very well. I'll update you real fast on where we're at. The seller on Condoratus lot, they signed their FedEx forms are back at Pioneer, so we can close on that tomorrow.
Excellent.
The Bussy, they signed today, so we can sign tomorrow on that, so that'll close. I was not able to accomplish Burns. I'm sorry.
Oh,
but
do not apologize.
Well,
2 out of 3 is not bad.
Okay.
As they say.
But, you know, I pushed hard and worked fast, and I just couldn't get them there. I met with them multiple times, and it just, I couldn't get them to be reasonable. And what else should I tell you? It's a pleasure to work for you. It really is, and I just thank you guys. And, you know, in the future, if you need any help in commercial real estate, that's all we do, and be glad to give you any counsel or do anything I can to help.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brown. We gave you an almost impossible task, and you came through in really a good way for us. So we appreciate what you were able to get done. Some immovable objects will just stay that way, I guess, and that's all we can hope for. So.
Well, thank you so much.
We do very much appreciate your assistance with all this, and I'm not sure we would have gotten it done without you. So thank you very much. So before us is a resolution. I will read it by its title. This is a resolution of the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency authorizing the execution of an RE15 compensation agreement with Mark Bottles Real Estate Services LLC, with Norm Brown being the agent, concerning the acquisition of the Bennett Machine Shop located at 516 Main Street. And so I will open the floor then for any comments on the resolution or disposition for that resolution.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I would move that we, pass this resolution and move it forward.
thank you, Mr. Porter. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Mr. Wagner, was it?
Yeah.
Yes, yay.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Any further discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, I would ask the secretary to call the roll, please.
Porter,
Yes.
Warwick,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Allgood,
Yes.
Ramirez,
Yes.
Hopper.
Yes. Thank you again, Mr. Brown, and hopefully we will find ways that we can help you can help us in the future, so appreciate that very much. All right, that takes us then to item number 2 under new business. This is the invoices for payment from our treasurer, Ms. Mitchell.
Good evening, Commissioner and Commissioner Chairman. Tonight you have before you the request to approve $88,913.56 in invoices before you. The invoices are for the following transactions. We have our monthly economic development support of $18,000, our monthly legal fees with Hamilton, Michelson, Hill Chief for $6,500. Our Canyon County tax collector for property taxes at 711 Cleveland for $12,812. And then Canyon County's pay request number 3 for the fair site, $50,638.16. And then Caldwell Irrigation Lateral District has irrigation assessments at $963.30.
Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. I just have a real quick question. First, this is much more reasonable than last month, so thank you. Secondly, the Canyon County pay stuff, have we actually, is this still in the design engineering stage, or are we actually moving on that? Do we know? I'm sorry, it's probably Mr. McDonald that can answer that better than you can, so.
Are you referring to, Mr. Chairman, the, Expo building?
Yes, the Expo building, yes.
So they have, run their designs through preliminary design and final design, and they have, I think at this point acquired their permit. To my knowledge, they have not broken ground yet, but they may be, purchasing materials and acquiring materials for the project.
Okay, I just want to make sure these were hard copies.
Yes, because we do get copies of those invoices when they submit that request, and then Rob reviews them before we submit them for your approval.
Perfect, just one question I had.
Most of this is for fencing.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions for Ms. Mitchell on the invoices? Then I would entertain a motion for disposition of invoices.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Allgood,
I move we accept the invoices as presented by Ms. Mitchell.
move for acceptance of the invoices for payment. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Warwick. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I'm thinking everybody on the phone said aye. Any opposed?
I think we may have,
I think
did we hit our time?
I think we're good. Oh, did we hit our time? We probably did.
We can still hear you. Yeah, we're good.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
All right. So I'm assuming it's a unanimous vote for acceptance of the invoices for payment, unless I hear otherwise. And thank you. That takes us then to the treasurer's report. There should still be about a minute and a half, 2 minutes out, so.
Okay, I'll be real quick then. Chairman, and Commissioners, tonight you have before you the Treasury report. We're going to start in that, what I call the yellow box. I think it's a different color for you. At the bottom, and work our way up. So we have a total.
It's yellow for us too.
Oh, is it? Oh, yay!
We get it in color now. It used to be black and white, but now it's color.
Yes. Well, we're moving up.
We're stepping up.
Yeah. So we have $12,396,425.50. It's broken out into 3 accounts. The LGI pay account of $116,375.67. The Banner Bank CD of $250,380.49, and then our operating account with Banner Bank of $12,029,669.34. The Banner Bank account is broken out into the following categories. You have the job creation account of $238,320.35. The TBCC account is $747,877.96. Our increment funding for City of Caldwell projects is $1,172,061.49. And then the other taxing districts, restricted account of $9,871,409.54. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for Ms. Mitchell?
We will be spending money real soon.
I imagine that's going away pretty quick, so.
Yes, ITD is wanting us to put the full deposit up that, for Ustick Bridge. And I think that's gonna be about the $3.6 million request coming through.
Okay, I would entertain a motion then to accept the monthly cash reconciliation report from our treasurer. Moved by Mr. Ramirez. Second by Mr. Allgood. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And Jerem is muted, so I'm assuming that there was an aye from him as well. Okay. Maybe he's gone to sleep, we'll see. That takes us then to our attorney's report. I'm thinking Side A Brewing may have thought that it was 7 o'clock their time, not our time. Don't know, but. Yeah, let's go ahead and recycle the Zoom so that you don't get interrupted midstream.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant up. You are in the meeting now. You are.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why the sky is blue. Okay. Mr. Waterman, go ahead and let's hear our update report. First on Side A Brewing, knowing that they may be joining us later, we'll give them a chance to speak if we're still in session.
Sounds good. Good evening again, all. For Side A, the hope was they'd be here to discuss, and I know Mr. Foltz has already provided some update. At this point, the understanding is they're working with architecture to get final costs put together, and still, I think, moving ahead in a positive direction, but that's where they're at. Any questions on that?
No? Okay. Any questions from anyone else? Okay.
On the, I'll skip over here to the new urban renewal area on that. Currently, LG's going to be working with staff to begin putting together a feasibility study. Of course, the feasibility study is the sort of big gut of a urban renewal plan that incorporates estimated revenue generation with projected infrastructure costs and that kind of thing. So it's a big lift, and I know he's getting underway and working with staff to look at what those costs are and what the revenue may be, and all of that in conjunction with various estimates on infrastructure costs that come in at different times and change here and there. So he is headed in a good direction on that as well. Which brings us to Creekside, and I see Dean is there online, so I'll give a quick introduction here and then turn it over to him. As you will remember, a couple months ago, a 2-month extension was granted with an opportunity to come back and either move forward or talk about a different extension or terminate things. In the last couple months, there's been a lot of productive back and forth Dean and his crew have worked hard to be responsive to concerns the city had and site plan changes and things like that. Mr. Healthy was insisting that I communicate a sense that the Chase has been aggressively working with the city and has in no way been dragging their feet. During this 2-month period, they've put a lot into site, looking at different site layouts and different possibilities, for things that could be done to, meet the desires of the Urban Renewal Agency. This has involved some retooling based on a desire to have, market rate housing facing the creek, because the Equal Housing Authority has an inability to do, workplace housing and market rate housing simultaneously in the same building. It required some financial tooling on their end as well. My understanding is that the current state of things, and again, I'll let Dean get into more of the specifics, the current state of things is building 1 is market rate housing, with commercial on the first floor. Building 2 is a, potential hotel. There's some new, information on, how that might move forward, with, some sort of boutique hotel companies that may have different financing requirements, with the option that could be multi-story commercial, if, again, the hotel did not work. At this point, the request / proposal is to consider a 60-day extension, with a update in January from the Chase, followed by, in February, at the February meeting, a site plan with sufficient specificity to move forward with a reuse appraisal. Again, Mr. Hilty has done most of the work on this, but the sentiment, again, that he asked that I expressed, was that the Chase has been very responsive and that he feels like that 60 days will be a very productive 60 days, and not just a, sort of continued holding pattern. And again, I'll leave Dean to provide additional, assurances to that end. Additionally, one of the sort of push and pull of a project like this is, making sure that the developer has enough certainty that they can feel comfortable making, additional investments into design and that kind of thing. So the hope for tonight would be that, this body be aggressive in asking questions of the developer and really sort of push on the ideas and determine whether or not they're going to be acceptable. So looking forward to hearing a good discussion, and if there's no questions, I'll turn it over to Dean.
Any other questions for Mr. Waterman? Okay, Mr. Pape, you've got the floor.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for your time. Can you hear me okay?
We got you.
Perfect, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and just bring up my screen. Just let me know if you can see.
We've got it.
Great, okay. As you've seen over the past couple of months, this starting page hasn't changed. The visuals on this have not changed. The hope is we can progress this over the next 30 to 60 days to see some real aggression and changing. The hope is to bring you guys back up to speed after the past 30 days on conversations that have been had with staff, and legal representation from the city and the Urban Renewal Agency, to make sure that we're on the same page to move forward. After our last meeting, there were a couple areas of questions that took a few weeks to get responses to better understand what we were planning on doing, what we were trying to do, so that we could come back to this meeting to better move forward. Because of the timing of some of those, we were unable or unsuccessful to push those forward to be able to move the design forward and every other element associated with design, so that we could come back with a full package at this meeting to present it accordingly to go into a reuse appraisal. I bring this slide up because we looked at this in our last meeting, which showed our original timeline, the impact associated with the original timeline that we presented in October. And then in November, at the very bottom, they said, here's a timeline that we could proceed with. We broke out the 2 separate projects away from the handful of others that were above it before, focusing on the hotel and the retail and residential buildings as 2 separate projects, and discussed at that meeting and with staff about proceeding forward, having those be two separate projects with two separate agreements with two separate entities. From there, we asked a couple of questions because we didn't get a response from the group that evening, to see how best to move forward. At that meeting, some of the questions that have been gone back and forth with staff, legal, and some representation from the city. I highlighted three of the main topics here. One of them, dividing the development. The request was, the discussion was, should the project be divided from the residential portion, the residential and retail portion from the hotel portion? What we understand is the home renewal agency would prefer to proceed because of the agreements that we have at this time under one development agreement for the entire parcel. We understand that, and we don't plan on moving forward with two separate developments, but one single development with one entity as responsibility for the entire development. The hotel building, we understood that, the city would love to have a hotel in downtown, and we believe and support that. And if the hotel is unsuccessful, that a commercial building should be built where the proposed hotel location, is as part of our plan. We would agree with that. We've now been in contact with three separate hoteliers who do have interest in downtown Caldwell, have reviewed the hotel report that we submitted, in July, and believe at the outset of that there is a light at the end of the tunnel associated with getting through COVID, as the hotel industry currently is in not good condition to be able to financially support a new hotel at this time. And then the last one is associated with the residential portion. We understood that the urban renewal agency would like to see more market rate projects associated with this one. In working with our development partner, the housing authority, it's not impossible, but it makes it an extremely tough financial plan. We would have to bisect the property into probably two separate projects, which lowered the amount of total housing that could be provided as a whole by separating them into two separate buildings. We have discussed with the housing authority this need, and they have agreed that they're currently refocusing on other projects that they have that we're looking to assist them on the development side with, so that we can focus on this project being a full market rate project. I want to highlight where we were a month ago in regards to our timeline and where we are in regards to our current timeline and why we're looking for the additional 6 meetings. We understand the importance that the mayor pointed out earlier in regards to getting this project to move forward so that we can close on the project before the district expires. We understand that, we agree with that, and are working diligently to move forward to get to reuse appraisal through this exclusive rights agreement period. So in November, we had intended to come back to this meeting with enough information to be submitted for a reuse appraisal. But from the information provided in the last slide, we have delayed that process, in getting communication to and from the urban renewal agency and to and from, city staff and attorneys. And part of that, the biggest probably part of that is the 60-day need is to get the right hotel partner on board and making sure that we have a financial security with that hotel partner and an understanding of how they're going to be successful as part of our greater development team building a hotel. Folding that into what we had prescribed in our prior development plan, and a financial plan that we can then present with a design plan and a schedule to the city. We believe that it's going to take probably 30 days internally with a development partner to come to some sort of understanding and agreement and a design plan, and then probably an additional 30 days to be able to put that together so we can come back to this board and present to you what we believe this project will look like as we proceed forward into construction development in the future. This is an image that we looked at the last meeting in regards to the original layout of the project. The hotel portion was on the south side and the residential portion was on the north side. We presented the option of switching those, and that came from the hotel group that met with us last month saying the hotel would prefer to be at the northwest corner of the property, associated with the parking directly across the street, so that they could easily tell people staying or possibly staying at the hotel where they could park of staying there. They felt like it would be a bigger issue to try and, show them how to get to parking within an ease of proximity on the prior location. After that last meeting, we started to ask our design team to start looking at very conceptual, what we call block designs. So what it would look like to have the housing portion on the easterly half of the property. Soon after that, we were advised to go ahead and not spend additional time and money until we got some clarity at this meeting in regards to how best to proceed. So there's not a whole lot of detail in these plans, but does show conceptually how a residential portion of the project could be built. The one thing I'd like to illustrate is the parking in this concept, similar to the parking that you guys have seen before, is located inboard into the project itself. So it's not a sea of parking seen from the roadway, and we are activating the outside of the building with additional retail or other ground floor activation presence on the north, east, and southern part of the project. The, of course, westerly part facing what will be a future hotel and or the creek, we believe some sort of residential or work use concept would work well there. Of course, we would work with the urban renewal agency and city on how best to accommodate those functions. So, currently, our exclusive rights agreement is expiring, in the coming days. So our request tonight is to extend that for 60 days. Due to the facts of the information that's been provided here this evening. With that exclusive right extension, we are asking for some clear definition in regards to the topics discussed tonight from information that we received over the past 30 days. I highlight those here, that we need to agree to the upgraded site plan in regards to moving or swapping the retail residential portion with the hotel. Update the hotel timeline. What we understand is the city and urban renewal.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID. You are in the meeting now. There are, you are.
Financial plan, and provide as much needed.
Sorry to interrupt, but you lost this room, at about the time you started saying, what needed to be included in the, 60-day extension, so, I apologize, but yeah, we've been a couple minutes away from you. If you wouldn't, going back to that
Was it
point.
this page?
Yes, it was still
Was it
this
this page that we were on?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
But you're beginning to outline
Okay, so-
all the things you need us to, say in the extension.
Perfect, okay. So, as bulleted on this page, we would need some approval in our current agreement for the revised site plan, thus swapping the residential retail portion of the hotel. Update the hotel timeline and phasing. What we understand through communication is the outlined start date would be in the year 2024. I caveat that with the hotel operators we've talked to. They believe that would be the worst outside date for them to start. They would want to be able to be completed and opened before this timeline. And then the updated residential requirements going from workforce housing to market rate housing. And then the 60 days provides us the ability to create a new design, the concept that you've seen here, the block design, to get it into a condition that could be presented, including floor plans, elevations, and others that could be used for the reuse appraisal. Gives us time to engage and understand who our development or operating development for a hotel and operating partner for a hotel would be and how the agreements would work with them. And develop a new financial plan for both the residential and hotel portions of the property. Ultimately, putting a full package together within 60 days that could be submitted for a reuse appraisal. Again, as discussed prior to my presentation, we would want to come back in January and provide you guys with an update on, the successes that we have come across over the 30-day period, 30-ish day period with the holiday in the middle of it, to let you know what progress we have, attained at that timeline. With that, I would be more than willing to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Pape? Wow, sounds like we must have covered everything. So,
I have comments, I don't have questions.
well, okay, Mr. Allgood, go ahead.
Well, no, I like the hotel, the new place where the hotel's at, and I also like the market rate housing. Both of those, I believe, are an improvement. I completely understand the parking need for the hotel and it to not be down the street, around the corner kind of situation. And so I like what you've done. I'm happy with the changes.
That's great to hear, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from Mr. Pape?
Mr. Chairman, I would just echo Chris's comments, and, with all the curves that have been thrown your way, you've done a great job. I'm really happy with it, and I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, hearing nothing else, we need a motion then, that would include the 60-day extension to our current development plan, 60-day extension to the existing extension, and additional verbiage in that extension. We would be directing our attorneys to do this, that embraces the new site plan, that accepts the hotel timeline as presented, and also specifies that the residential phase of the project will be a market value project. And I would think we would also need to add to that motion authorization for the chairman to sign that agreement, so you don't have to meet again once that new document is prepared. Did I leave anything out, Mr. Warren?
I don't believe so.
Excellent. So I'm looking for that motion. Yes. So what do you think, if it wasn't labeled as an action item?
I would say, Chair and Board, to move ahead with the action, as stated, if something is necessary after the fact, that can be accomplished. Even if, we were unable to formally, officially adopt a actual document until January, it would still provide much of what is needed, just sort of conceptually to move forward.
Okay, so the motion then, would be to direct staff to prepare an action item for this body that embraces all of those elements, which I think we can do, even though that's not a formal. Make sense? Okay. All right, so that's what's before us, and I need that motion.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Allgood.
I will leave the verbiage as you so kindly stated, but I would make that motion.
Okay, so Mr. Allgood has moved that we direct staff, is that Ms. Warwick that said the second?
I will second, yes.
Yes, so the motion, as I understand it, and please interrupt me if I'm wrong, is to direct staff to, and our attorney to develop that agreement extension, that should that extension, well, I guess we'll consider it at the January meeting, and it would include the elements as we've already specified. We all good with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Pape, is that okay?
Sounds good to me, thank you all, appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I think gets you off the hook, Mr. Waterman, unless there's something else we missed. Okay. Chairman's report, I think we have, pretty much covered everything that I had in my report, based on the conversation today. Looking good. Any, commissioners have anything they want to bring up in front of the agency? No one, okay, that takes us then, to, a motion for the executive session. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Allgood,
I move that we go into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-206, subsection 1C, for the purpose of discussing acquisition of or interest in real property not owned by a public agency.
moved by Mr. Allgood, is there a second?
Second.
Second to go into executive session, for the, that was Mr. Porter and Mrs. Warwick, so, you know, whoever. To move into executive session for the purpose of discussing, acquisition or interest in real property. Any further discussion? Would the secretary call the roll, please?
Alden,
Yes.
Ramirez,
Yes.
Hopper,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Warwick,
Yes.
Wagner.
Yes.
Okay, the gang's all here.
Okay, then.
Yeah, we're gonna have to pause